Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Today, another guest in the studio. This is Dandy Chrisofi. Hello, Dandy.
Hello, Richard.
It's nice to have you with me.
Lovely.
Now, you may remember, and you will remember because it's your partner we're talking about, Ray Edwards came into the studio the other day, and we were talking about the Inspirational Hub that you and your partner, Ray, are getting off the ground for a project in West Sussex, well, across the whole of Sussex. And we were talking about the funding side of that and how getting away from fiat currency, talking about gold backs and all those sort of things. And we mentioned a number of the sort of ideas that were coming forward to that. But your role, I suppose, in the project is on the more holistic side. You're a medical, no, not a medical, that's a health practitioner. Medical's a very strange word, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And so I wanted to find out now the other side of the project and more sort of natural healing and health and those sort of things. So let's find out a little bit about yourself and your background and what you do as a health practitioner. So yes, what kind of health practitioning do you do, Dandy?
Okay, so I do holistic health. So I help people in a number of ways. I'm a nutritionist. I also do shamanic healing, and I do Feng shui. So I take care of the spaces, but I also help people to empower themselves to heal, to feel better emotionally, mentally, and also physically. So it's looking at all those levels that we can work on to reach well-being.
Now, I've many years ago I heard of Feng shui, which is where you look at the environment that you live in. Is that right?
Yeah.
And somebody said to me that you had to have the loo seat down because your energy would go down the pipe. Is that true?
Well, it's all about energy. So everything is energy ultimately, and we also have an energy body. So it would make sense that in our space we would be affected by energy that is heavy, and we would feel better with energy that is lighter. So the energy that moves around a space, if it is going into your toilet and the lid is up, then that would create that kind of dynamic for that kind of energy. So you wouldn't really want to have that energy permeating your space, so you'd close the lid. So it's really, a lot of it is about common sense as well, and also connecting with your space.
So I had a chap come round and look at this studio from an electrical point of view, working out whether I had too many electrical and magnetic radiations coming from it. From a Feng shui, I can't even say the word, Feng shui point of view, is that right?
Yeah.
What is the studio like? Whilst you're here, I'm taking advantage.
Yeah.
Do you think that the energy levels in here are harmonious and good?
Well, I feel good. I would say that there's probably a lot of EMFs coming from the equipment.
Yes.
So having a crystal there, certain crystals help with that. The smoky quartz, I think shungite also does that to protect your energy field from absorbing too much
Well, I can tell you, this is actually a piece of shungite embedded in here from somebody we had on the show, and this great chunk here.
Oh, wow.
So
you're already doing it.
If you can do that, it's quite crazy. So yes, anyway, so that was a bit of a diversion, but otherwise, so from a health point of view, I think sometimes people might, they're quite skeptical about some of these new, or not that they are new, but new to a lot of people. Yeah. Some of these things where you say, well, actually, if you put the loo seat down, or if you do this or change the furniture and things like that, people are, they go, well, how does that matter? So how does the energy work then within a room or in your environment to make you feel either sad or depressed or higher and happy?
That's a very interesting question, and it's multi-layered. First of all, it's how do you feel in your space? So if you're not feeling good, there is something wrong with the energy in your space, and it's also connected to perhaps how you're feeling at that time. So there is that mirroring. So as you start to do things to help yourself feel better, that should change a bit of the space also, but there's things you can do in your space to work with that. So it's about clearing the memory of perhaps of an argument that happened in that space that's still lingering.
Right.
It could also be the way that you have the furniture, that the energy cannot flow properly. It becomes stuck. there may be too much clutter there. Energy again can't flow. So it's all about allowing energy to flow in a way that it's not obstructed. And also, how do you feel in that space? If there's a lot of clutter, you might feel enclosed in, you might feel caged. So by helping your space become less cluttered, you will help your mind to feel more free. You will start to feel more peaceful yourself. So it works in a relationship. You become at one with your space.
And now a lot of people, there seemed to be a move fairly recently in the last 10 years or 15 years or so, I was kind of aware of people living in a minimalist style. Is that an ideal style, or is it just a personal decision?
Again, good question. So I've seen many houses, and the clinical Zen house may not necessarily have good Feng Shui, whereas a very cosy, slightly cluttered, homely house would have wonderful, loving vibrations in it.
Right.
So it is about that too. You don't want too much clutter, but a little bit of clutter, I think, is quite cozy, and you know, it's the way we are as humans.
Well, my house is, as you've seen going around the house, my house is quite cluttered, but the things in my house are of a sort of period that resonates with me very much. I couldn't live in a house that was too minimalist and sort of clinical.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
that there's clean.
Yeah.
Talking of that, from a health point of view, kids these days live in environments in which you see through the adverts, you know, these what do they call them, biological wipes that you clean everything and it kills all bacteria and everything. But when I was a kid, you know, having dirt under your fingernails, having a little bit of dirt, being exposed to that built up your immune system. Why has that changed? Why is that still a good thing, to build up your immune system from your environment?
Absolutely. And I think that the root of all our disease is separation from nature. I think that we have become very digitalized as well, especially the younger generation. They are always holding some sort of device and not actually experiencing life in nature. And I think that you know, when we do connect with nature again, we realize that our well-being is all about that connection.
Yes. Now, I mean, older people, of course, my generation and above, would have been brought up in nature. You know, your parents would kick you out the house and say, you know, come back at 4:30, and they wouldn't worry about you. I mean, I'm talking generally, of course, but this generation, not only have we been frightened by being told, you know, there's these horrible people out who will kidnap you or do nasty things to you as a child, but we've also encouraged them to stay under artificial lights, looking at screens, which is what we're doing now. But how do you get kids to come outside, and how do you persuade also or teach parents, say in their 30s, who are having children who may well have been the result of indoor children themselves? How do you get kids out and about in the fresh air and not looking at it as if it's an unusual space?
I think the main thing is to remove fear. I think fear is so debilitating, you know, frightened of what's out there. We have to engage with life at some point, otherwise we'd never go anywhere, and that wouldn't be much of a life. So being out in nature also helps build our microbiome. You know, we need microorganisms to build a strong immune system, so we need to engage with the food that we're going to eat, you know, grown from the soil. The soil also needs to be full of nutrients, so there's lots of things that, you know, we need from our environment. And I think we need to understand that we are part of nature. We are not separate. So our whole ethos really is to connect again. It's a reconnection back to nature.
So do you think, I mean, just from the health point of view, people who are perhaps low energy or they're exhibiting whatever, you know, whether it's skin complaints or coughs or hair falling out or whatever it is, I mean, part of that is the way we live, because we're in this soup of toxins, and that the body's desperately trying to send a message, as I understand it, to us to say, get yourself out on the hills, climb a tree or something.
Absolutely. If there's one thing you can do that will help you feel better, is to just go and put your bare feet on the ground and feel that connection.
Yes.
And just hear the wind blow, hear the birds sing. And when you go back into your house, you will feel a little bit different.
Absolutely. So what sort of, sort of clients do you see? What sort of things are people suffering that you see in your clinic that you look after? And what treatments do you offer to help them back to health?
Okay, so I work within those three main services, which is the Feng Shui, which is the house. But the house also reflects a lot of what's happening with the people that live in the house. I work with nutrition to help any physical ailments, to help them with food. But also you can see a lot that's going on mentally, and how food has this sort of cycle that can make it worse or make it better. And then lastly, the shamanic healing is really about empowering people to help heal themselves so that they can feel better. And a lot of it is to do with feeling safe, that a lot of people don't feel safe in the world.
And one of those things that makes us feel unsafe is the mainstream media.
Yes.
So do you tell people to throw their televisions away?
Sometimes, yes, if it's getting to that point. But really it is about a journey back to going inward, and there's so much distraction outside that's pulling our attention away from the peace that does reside within us when we go quiet and we become still. And when we're sitting in nature too, that is even more amplified. So if we can just for a moment take that quiet moment to go inward and not be distracted all the time by information overload, then we might find that we actually have a lot of the answers inside and we don't feel so unsafe.
So coming on to your project that I was talking with Ray, in which you're setting up an eco-village, obviously people will continue to be ill, although I'm rather hopeful, because I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, we want these walk-in clinics and you can come in and you can get healthy and blah, blah, blah. And I said, but surely if people are eating well, if they've got a good good balance of health, if they've worked out their job or however they earn a living is more relaxed and what have you, and you take away a lot of stress and stuff, half these people that you're talking about that need all this stuff won't have illnesses to begin with because you've taken away a lot of the causes. But anyway, that's sort of down the line. We've got to get to that stage.
Yeah.
So in your concept of your eco-village, obviously people's health and what have you, what sort of things are you looking to bring in and on offer?
A lot. So there's a lot of alternative therapists. I mean, we want to invite all therapists that want to help people get well. So we're looking at the physical activities of yoga, tai chi, qigong, breath work, and then we're looking at the emotional healing of the shamanic healing, the crystal healing, Reiki healing, which is all in essence working on the energetic body. So holistically, we're looking at all the different levels of our body, and then obviously just talking to people, listening. Deep listening is so important, so that people don't feel alone. They feel supported by the community. And I think that really became apparent, when people were locked down, over the last few years when it happened, the pandemic, that people really felt disconnected. They didn't even have anyone to talk to,
Yes.
I think that really did create a lot of mental health problems, which, is becoming apparent now. So
of course, you in the lockdown, of course, people sat opposite each other, this 6 foot or 2 meters, which is, that's not good for the heart.
Exactly.
I don't know what you call
electromagnetic field.
That's it.
Yes.
Word on the tip of my tongue.
Yes.
The electromagnetic field of the heart.
Everything was becoming, when we become more physical and less energy, our energy field will enclose in tightly, and that's what happens when you get stressed and fearful. So when you go out into nature, it expands again and it opens up, and we're able to interact with each other and open up the heart. We feel better when we do that.
Oh, well, and every time I go out into the countryside, I feel better. Although the irony is, I've spent more time in the studio here doing these than when I used to do all of that. But I think that's prepared me because of doing that. So within your eco village, I mean, the thing. I know my audience will probably be quite receptive to all the stuff that you're saying, because the way social media works is that you end up in this sort of echo chamber of listening to content that you are interested in. Do you find resistance from those people who find all this stuff quite baffling and new and going, but when do I get the pills? Because people are so ingrained in the existing system,
Yes.
which is GP, pills, prescriptions, end of, it's just sorting out the causes. How do you find resistance from what you're doing?
Yes, there is resistance. That's why people come to me as a last resort, probably, because they've tried everything else.
Right.
And I usually get them, at that state where they are desperate.
Yes.
Okay? And what we're actually dealing with there is for them to let go of resistance and for them to realise that the answer actually lies within them surrendering to their inner world and not looking for the answer outside. And that includes not relying on drugs that are pharmaceuticals that are just going to suppress what they're actually feeling. So with my work, I want to encourage people to feel feelings. That's what we are meant to do. We're not meant to suppress them, lock them away, and then they're going to manifest as dis-ease later. What we want to do is we want to clear those now. And if we want to do them at the pace that the client or the person that's come to see me is ready to do. So everything is within your own pace. But if we don't deal with them, they have to go somewhere. And that's when they get locked into the energy and eventually becomes a physical disease. So looking at allowing that to be healed rather than suppressing it, which is what Western medicine does.
Yes.
It suppresses, gives you a pill. What the shamanic way is, which I've been taught, is allowing yourself to actually feel things so that you can begin to heal.
So how do you, so in a consultation, how do you achieve that?
It's mainly to do with the client feeling safe enough to let go and to cry. I help people to cry and release the stuff that they haven't let go of. Because it's a luxury sometimes to cry. You don't have time always.
Yes.
You have to stay strong.
Yes.
So you can release stuff from a long time ago, and when you start doing that, you feel lighter. And then you start to sort of recalibrate in a way. Everything starts to come into equilibrium again.
Yes.
You're opening up your heart because you feel safe to, instead of closing it down and staying shut off from life.
Yeah. Now we've got your website here, which is it's Inspiration Hub. I put the in there unnecessarily. Inspirationhub.earth, and let's have a little look at that with some of the projects that you've got lined up. And you've got a tab called Heal, which takes you to this page that we're looking at. So can you tell us a little bit about, and you probably already have, but I'll just read this little bit to intro it, seeing as Ray got me to do all of that in the last video that we did. The Inspiration Hub will host talks, workshops, demos, film screenings and exhibits that promote a healthy environment and lifestyle. This will become a platform for the community to begin learning new ways and live a lifestyle that holds the well-being of people and planet at the forefront, inviting conversation about many creative and innovative healing solutions already available to us. Now, one of the things that Ray was very much pointing out, it isn't as if this is a top-down idea, the whole eco-village and all of that. It's about the community coming forward. So presumably there'll be other health practitioners with ideas who will say, look, I've learnt this really works, whatever it is. And I assume that you would encourage all of that.
Oh, absolutely, because it's not always one thing that works. It's usually a selection of things that resonate with where you are. So we need a multitude of therapists and different ideologies that help people, and what might work for me would be different for what would work for you. So the more that we have, the better, really. And there's so many wonderful therapists out there.
Yes. And I guess that's why, as it says on here, all these film screenings and workshops, screenings even, and exhibits will help people understand. Because, as I sort of alluded to before, there's a lot of people who are still in the old system and do find the new, or it's not new, that's the thing, isn't it? This has been going on in different countries and what have you. But over here in the West, we've been very rigidly forced into one way of thinking with the GPs and pills, and there's a pill for everything.
Yes.
And my mother was one, I mean, in the end, she would just go into the doctor and say, I know what I need antibiotics. They do it. And she would only take half the course anyway, and then she'd get ill again. She'd come in, I want more antibiotic. And it's not good, I suppose, if the if you're going in just demanding pills with no consultation or understanding of the problem, which is, what you do.
And also having an individual discussion about your health, because one size does not fit all, and we all have a different path that we've taken, and we've got our stories. It's not just about how are you feeling physically. What happened to you that led to how you feel now? We need to look at that.
Yes.
And it's not just sitting on a couch and just speaking about it and then, goodbye. It's let's clear that now. Let's heal it. Are you ready? Are you ready to let that go? And then you make space for something new. And this is you healing yourself. And I think when you take that responsibility, and I say to my clients, I am not going to fix you. I'm going to help you to understand yourself. You are going to heal yourself by letting go of the resistance.
Yes.
And then you become empowered and you know how to self-regulate. You're not even coming to me anymore. And I get really happy when that happens. It sounds
happy
a little
when
bit
you lose your clients.
Productive, but this is good. Because they don't need me anymore to remind them what to do.
Yes.
They don't need me anymore to keep clearing the energy, because they've understood how did it get like that in the first place. So
And the thing, I guess, if you're talking on a sort of an esoteric level or vibrational level, the more people that you have got happy and in a great place,
yes,
the better for the community at large, because people are out there. They're what did you call it? The thing with the
electromagnetic field. That's
the one. That's nicely expanded,
yes,
and people are into it, and so the more people. So it's a sort of the opposite of a spiral down. It's that. Yes. Bringing. Whereas the system that we have, where if people are just, I'm feeling rough, I just have to keep taking pills. It's that spiral downwards, yes, and more people are just sort of going down the plug hole that way.
Exactly.
Rather than rising up with higher vibrations and stuff.
Exactly.
So, and then what about people who want to get into the health themselves? As practitioners, presumably there'll be a lot of teaching and yes, training people so that they can spread the good news.
It's all about awareness. I mean, one word which I find quite endearing is that, that's a bit woo-woo.
Right.
In actual fact, it's not, because shamanism itself is so old. It's like the oldest spiritual tradition known to man. Like, it's the foundation where all religions
Where
were
did it
actually
come
built
from?
Well, all over the world.
Right.
It's just one area. I mean, the tradition that I was taught in is from Peru, but it doesn't matter. You've got the Aboriginal people in Australia. You've got the African shamans. It's all over the world. The Hawaiians. So it really is about our connection as human beings,
yes,
to nature and to spirit. And the way that we connect with spirit is through the heart. And fear closes the heart. So it's about feeling safe enough to open the heart again and feel connected to our environment and to each other.
And if you've got a community of people who are all of that, again, you're limiting the amount of times you're going to be ill to begin with.
Exactly.
As I said earlier, the fact that eventually, not that you'll never need it, because we all get stressed about, yes, something, and there's always things that go wrong, but the more that people are able to think this way, the more healthier people are. I mean, we've seen with the pandemic, people being told that our own natural immunity was secondary to a medical intervention that man made, which we've now seen since has not been actually very ideal at all for people, and they might think twice about having any kind of additional versions of this, whatever it is. But I'm guessing that you would be saying that your natural immunity, which is as old as man and has
yes,
been building up.
It's quite simple, really. The body works very well when we give it what it needs, and even when we don't, it still works. So
well, we wouldn't be here, would we? I mean, that's the funny thing, is we just would not be here in the situation that we were in if it wasn't for the fact that the body was able to cope before modern medicine.
The body's so forgiving, it just is ready always to help us,
Right.
So food is our ally. Let's choose a food that is grown from soil that is full of nutrients. Give our body what it needs and watch how it will perform. Give our brain the fats that it needs from, coconuts, from avocados. Let our brain really work, and I think that when we reach those optimum states of well-being, and also our connection to spirit, we begin to become superhuman almost. We don't even know what we're capable of.
No.
We don't even use much of our brains. But let's do that and see what we can come
Well, I
up
would certainly
with.
like to use more of my brains, and I think the audience would like me to use more of my brains too. So, I feel palpably during the show that I'm doing that we are moving to this new space.
Yeah.
There is a huge awakening, not just the fact that the medical intervention that we've had recently was a bad idea, or that pandemics are those things that are likely to come sweeping over all the time. But I think that we just are at a pivotal moment where people are thinking along a whole plethora of ways in which they've been suppressed. And whether it be money with the gold backs we were talking about with Ray, whether it be a different type of health that we look at, or whether it's, as you just mentioned, growing food, we're at that pivotal stage. So something that you're suggesting here with Ray of creating a eco-village, and you've got a site in mind that Ray mentioned. Perhaps you could just tell us a bit more about that, just to remind people.
Of course, yeah. So the Eco-Village project is it's a combination of all of the solutions that me and Ray have been talking about since we met 10 years ago. And we just feel that now is the time for us to be empowered enough to actually do this, that we've been so used to being just so small and told what to do and not even taking responsibility anymore. We've just been led and, we've been disempowered. And so now is it not time to feel empowered? And I think we can do that together. Okay, if it's just me and Ray, we can keep talking till the cows come home. But if we actually get together, we might be able to do this. I feel that we can,
Well, I mean, and the thing is, initiatives all around the world are doing something similar. And there are, I've been working with Catherine McBean from the People's Health Alliance, and there's... I'm just thinking on the top of my head of the World Council for Health, who are also doing a lot of health stuff. But then there's initiatives like Food for Change, who are getting people to buy organic food. So there's a real and these are just tiny little examples of people all over the world, and people are telling me about that all the time. How that and people listening to this, and I can hear the response from some of the viewers will be going, great, this is all very well, we love the concept, but now's the time to stop talking, like you said, and actually moving forward. So how do we do this? How do we get there and say, thanks very much, government, you've been very kind and very nice and all of those things, but actually your policies don't seem to work, we're going to turn our back and just get on with it. How do we get to this point?
By saying yes. There's a phrase that, if it was that easy, anybody would be able to do it, we'd all be doing it. Well, if we all did it, it would be easy.
Yes.
How about that? So it's really about taking a risk, I suppose, and saying, actually, I'm fed up with what is being presented to me here, and I feel that there are alternative routes, and there's this whole idea here. How about I just invest in that? Because we actually keep the system going. We support it. It could not exist without our participation. So how about we just shift our participation to another idea that is ticking a lot of our boxes right now, and that is all that is needed.
Right. Absolutely. And when you say that we're just keeping the system going, we definitely are. There is a leap of faith for people, because the system, that feeling that the through convenience, I think, that the government has said, don't worry, I'll do that for you. No, don't worry, I'll do that for you. It has stripped us of our confidence and our responsibility. And so people are a bit nervous about stepping outside afresh. But the rewards are so much better.
Well, that's the whole thing about familiarity. Just because it's familiar, it doesn't mean it's good for us.
No.
And also, just the fact that if you can take that risk to believe in something that is good and is true, and it feels right here. It feels right here in your gut, in your heart, and it makes sense here too. World's a bit crazy at the moment, but this person over here and this group over here, and there's lots of us actually that are doing our own little things, they seem to be speaking sense, So just from that logical point of view, how about we support that? And that is what it takes. So people don't know their true power. they need us to keep that going. So how about we do things better ourselves? And we become empowered, because we've got used to being disempowered. We've got used to things being done for us and decisions being made for us that we don't feel comfortable with. So this is why we need to be brave. We need to have courage and to stand in our integrity to something we believe in and actually carry it out. And that's the bit around the do, the decentralised human organisation, which provides us with the organisational tools to allow communities to organise themselves and become self-governing without having too many, sort of arguments and like I'm right and ego's getting in the way. The do is a template to allow us to organise.
So just explain that. Just go back to that. The do. What does that? That's an acronym, is it?
Yes.
Do.
Yeah. Decentralised human organisation.
So DHO.
Yeah. Do.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So not the WHO.
No, not that one.
It's a different acronym.
Yeah.
So decentralised human organisation, which means that it's not part of any government scheme. It's not a hierarchy scheme. It's people doing stuff, doing stuff for themselves and taking back responsibility. Yeah. And is that an organisation, or is that just a concept really that people take?
Well, it is a tool set that was provided to us by Seeds, which is a global movement that comes up with lots of great tools for people.
So is that an acronym again?
Yes, that is an acronym for societal. Golly, I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Don't worry, we'll bung a link to it.
Yeah, Seeds. So Seeds is a wonderful movement that we joined, and they provided us with the tools for the DHO. And they also are working on solutions. Right. And they have many different eco-villages that are being set up using these tools. And the DHO is that tool in a box, it's called, where you can organise yourself in your community.
So these are tried and tested tools that have, as you say, so these eco-villages are working, people are trying them, but there's no governance as such other than self-governed.
That's right. It's governed by the people, by the community, and the community owns the treasury, which is like their bank, and then they decide where they want to put, the money in the treasury to benefit the community.
And can people find out more information about that on your website?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got. In fact, if you go to the homepage,
let's go and have a look. So we were in your heal page.
If you go and then scroll down right to the bottom, you'll see the bit about. The seed, keep going down, there we go. So Seeds, that's Seeds I was talking about.
There we go. I'll just put that up. Oh, hang on, I'll just fiddle with that to get it so it fills the screen.
Yeah.
People have the power to change the world together. So there we are. There's all sorts of bits and bobs
and then
to look at, and that's the sort of suggested currency which we were talking about last time with Ray. Oh, that's really brilliant. So how soon do you think that you will be able to get your eco-village up and running in West Sussex, across Sussex?
Right. So we've already set up a very small operation in Stenning for local therapists to work from there. And really it's about getting the gold back well known in small businesses within our local community, and awareness.
Now, talking about awareness, Ray was talking about the Willy Wonka that you have come up with this concept because you make cakes.
Yeah.
So tell us about this, the golden ticket idea, because that was really good.
I do make cakes, but I also make raw chocolate.
Oh yes, raw chocolate. That was the thing.
And so the raw chocolate bars are made with organic ingredients. They're also packaged in compostable pouches, and what I'd like to do is put a gold back into the chocolate bar and hide them, obviously, in the different flavours.
It's not edible. You don't actually eat the gold. Just so I'll make that clear. It's not the
edible gold leaf, no.
No.
But it's just that little sort of spin on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when they hid the golden tickets and how everybody tried to get them. So it's just really about gold is that intrinsic value, but also so is cacao. Cacao is also used as a form of exchange.
It's a commodity,
Yeah. So it's bringing those two together and just bringing back that childlike sort of.
So can people
fun.
People buy those in Stenning and around that area?
Yeah. So I have been selling them in various health food shops. for quite a while now, and so as soon as I get them sort of packaged in their little pouches, because that's going through now, I'll take them into Stenning and hide the gold bags.
Wonderful. And so that is a great way. I mean, if anybody else is thinking of using gold backs and that sort of private money system in which you are holding in and of itself the value as a commodity, as opposed to the fiat currency that we just discussed in the previous show, then there must be lots of innovative ways to promote an alternative money system like gold backs, rather than the relying on that. And the golden ticket is great. Yeah. So that you're getting more people to use this private money. Yeah. And across, not just in one village like Stenning. Is Stenning a village? Is it technically still a village? Yeah. It's a beautiful place in Sussex. You may be watching from Australia or New Zealand or San Francisco or somewhere, who knows, and you're going, what the hell are you talking about? Where is this village? I want to go there. Is it Biggleswick? No, it's not Biggleswick. But it's a lovely village. Lovely. But the eco-village clearly is already happening in different parts of the world. And this needs to snowball, doesn't it? So that we, the people, are able to live freely. Yeah. Rather than being told how to live and have banks extracting money from us, because we would effectively be our own bank if we're looking after our own cash, and we have our own treasuries that are and why not?
Yes, why not trust ourselves?
Yes. Which of course that just that sense of freedom makes you feel healthy.
Yes, it does.
Well, it certainly does to me. If you're
stressful.
less. Well, that's it. And if you're always having to sort of bow and scrape to somebody else, here we are, so here's your money, or particularly with mortgages and things like that, and what am I going to do? So it sounds very encouraging.
Yes, and it is different, and we know that any concept that comes forward and it's different to what we're used to, of course it's going to be a bit frightening at first because we are not familiar with it, and change is always hard, but change is sometimes needed. We need to grow, we can't stay stagnant, and if things are not feeling good, it's a bit like energy in the house. If it's stagnant, it needs to be cleared. You need to let the fresh air in, so it's a bit like that really, and you've got to be able to be a bit of a visionary and also see that what we could create, would be better than what we've been offered, and what we've been experiencing. And trust is a big thing. It's about trusting this idea that it will come to fruition, but it's going to take all of us to agree.
Well, I'm hoping that my audience all agree that change is necessary, and I think change is coming whether we like it or not. Yeah. If we can divert the change into the way we want, rather than the tyrannical, dictatorial, I always get that wrong. Dictatorial. I'm being pulled up left, right and centre by some of my strange strangulation of the English language. It's my language. I use my own language, so leave me alone. But yes, if we don't make the change ourselves, somebody else will do it for us. And we are
the ones we are waiting for.
There you are. We are the ones. We are the ones we're waiting for.
Got to take responsibility.
So do check out inspirationhub.earth. I'll leave the link in the description. I'll also leave a link to the seeds, so you can have a look at all of that. Dandy, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you here in the studio. Part 2 of our look at the eco-village, and hopefully it's inspired other people in different parts of the world or whatever to do that, get together and create something anew, and presumably people can get in touch and ask you myriads of questions. Absolutely, as I know people often do. That would be fantastic. Well, there we go. I hope you got something out of that, as I'm sure you will have, and I shall be nipping down to one of those shops as soon as that chocolate is available and seeing if I can get a golden ticket. But in the meantime, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching, and if I can find the switching off button, which I have just located, I can say I'll be back with more monologues and more wonderful guests. But until then, from Dandy and myself, thanks for watching and goodbye.
Bye.